current's coming to the right, I'm going to go to the outside of the dock and work into the current and see what happens. I've never fished this dock before, haven't got a clue what it's all about. I know that it's pretty, just by looking at this dock, I know that it has reasonably deep water, which is a positive, because there's a swim ladder here, platform. So people have been jumping off the dock and swimming, so it's got to be 5 or 6 feet deep on this outside. That's a positive. Another positive is that boat there. There's a lift, and that's a pretty deep V boat with a pretty good draft. So it's going to be pretty good depth underneath that boat, and that's a positive. So between the ladder and at the end of the dock and the boat inside a little bit, I know that at times this has got pretty good depth. Also, there's another dock outside of it, so you know there's good depth here. So this would be a pretty good place to begin. And the only really way you're going to know if a dock produces is to fish it. I mean, there may be some other ways, but I sure don't know about them. If you're going to fish them, fish them. Another positive here that I just see now is there's a dock light here. It looks like it's a broken light, but he's got it down, which is shining into the water. So at night, if he turns his dock lights on, that light is going to be shining down into the water, and that's going to draw little plankton, little minnows, and also bigger fish. That's not an accident. That means this guy must fish at night, and this fish probably produces fish here. So when I go to start to work this dock, I'll work on the outside edges first. Let the jig go to the bottom. I'm watching that line. I've got braided line on here, and it's light colored, which I prefer. I can see the line. I give little twitches. I'm watching that line. If it jumps or I feel a slightest strike, I set the hook. I don't want to get too close. After I've worked my way out, the currents push me a little bit, I'll move back in with the electric motor, trying to gauge the boat speed to the current speed to keep it off a little bit. Now with this outfit, reel that lure up very close and make a load to the water cast and just try to skip it. Just like that. It skips through the dock, so I'm going to bring it back underneath that dock. I want to skip it under the dock. Fish it back with a moderate rate, give it a good hop or two. Different speeds work, try different things. Once it gets out a little bit, you're done. Bring it in for another cast. Reel it up close. Rod tip low to the water. Side arm cast. If the current goes to wash your jig toward those pilings, sometimes you've got to retrieve it, move the rod tip left or right to keep from fouling. Just work it back. And it takes 6, 8, 10 casts to try to figure out this dock pretty well. Different times of year, different docks produce better. Some have better fishing for others. Some might be good for crappies and panfish and bluegills. Others may be good for bass. In the north, you catch walleyes and pike. That was a fish. That was a fish right there. I missed him. Talking, not fishing. And you get hung up. You get hung up periodically, but that's just part of the game of fishing docks. There's one reason why there's fish here. Low to the water cast. Let the lure go all the way to the bottom before you begin to retrieve. Bump it back. You're looking for any kind of sign that there's somebody home. Make sure you get up underneath the boat here. With a spinning rod, you can just make a little flip, and it goes right to underneath the dock, and it skips a time or two back up underneath the dock and around pilings. You want to make sure we get underneath this boat because we know it's gouged out under that boat. We know there's a gouged out spot here for sure. With that big boat and that big motor on the back end of it, it's certainly gouged out. Oop. I don't think that was a fish. I think that was a snag. It could be a log down there, a bulkhead, any number of things could be down there. You want to make sure you get out here, these pilings. Fish can literally be anywhere. And that's pretty much it. That's how we fish docks, and it can be extremely productive for a wide variety of fish. Sometimes you can make a backhand cast underneath there. If you hit a little high that time, well, next cast again. Nothing fancy, and you're going to lose a few lures, but docks sure hold fish. Wherever there's docks in decent depth water and a decent population of fish, you can almost sure they're going to hold them. And in the bright sunny day like today, it can be very good too, because it affords a little bit of shade for predators to get back underneath the docks, get out of the shade a little bit. Moving out like this, we have a good shot at skipping it back up underneath this boat, because you just never know. And that's it. With a little bit of practice, you'll find which docks seem to be better than others, which are more productive, and then you can key on those docks. I try to make it a habit when I'm dock fishing to fish new water every day. It's just so you don't get into a rut. Try different things, and I think we'll catch more fish this way.